Hey there, I'm Neil. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the host and producer of Pause and Rewind, the podcast that chats to changemakers, thought leaders, and role models who all share a common goal. They're striving to make the world a more inclusive place. And, let's face it, we need it. Each guest has a unique story when it comes to doing their thing, and we often know who people are in the now, but how much do we really know about them? Pause and Rewind takes a moment to explore the experiences, realisations, and relationships in my guest's life that led them to where and who they are now, because everyone loves an origin story. We'll dive into tales, anecdotes, and a little of what makes our guests tick. So whether you're here for insights or inspo, or simply want to know about your heroes, this podcast is for you. You might never know someone's story, but if you pay attention, you'll hear it, you'll see it, and you'll feel it. So, are you ready to pause and rewind? Hey there, Nicola. Welcome to Pause and Rewind. As always, it is brilliant to see you, and I'm so excited we get to sit and have this conversation as part of my Pride season.
Well, I'm going to say hi, Glitter Neil.
I love that. I love that that's my nickname from you, Glitter Neil.
Yeah. But you know, there's actually a story behind the Glitter Neil, and I'll begin with that because, as you may or may not know, I had a stroke 6 years ago, and it changed a lot of things for me. It's a lot of coming back, but one of them is that I find it harder to recognise people, even people I know quite well. So I give them names. You're Glitter Neil because I know another Neil, so you're Glitter Neil, and he's Indian Neil.
I love it. Well, I'm going to
And every
take...
time I see you, I get so happy because you've always got glitter on your face. Glitter in your aura.
Well, I'm going to take that. That's. I love it and I own it whenever you call me it. So yeah, I adore it. Nicola, I'm going to start with a question, and that is, what does the world look like for Nicola Fenton right now?
Okay, well, there's two sides to the world right now. There's my little world and my health and my well-being, which is feeling very good at the moment. As I just mentioned, 6 years ago, I didn't know whether I was going to make it to tomorrow. Today, I've been told, just like anybody else my age, I've got no more chance of getting sick or unhealthy. I keep myself very healthy. I love where I'm living. We're settled now in the UK. I never know what to call this country. Is it the UK? Is it Britain? Is it England? Anyway, where I am living in London, I'm enjoying it with my family and I'm settled. Politically, when I look outside of our doors, it's a little more scary. There's a lot of, I don't think I need to go into what's happening, but for our community, our queer community, I find things rolling back, and they're rolling back fast from the States across here. Generally, as you know, the right-wing rhetoric, and I have a brown family, we're all immigrants, sort of quite sometimes scary to even walk out on the street with them thinking, is this going to be safe or not? So those things are not so good, but I see a lot of hope. I think there's plenty of us out there that are wanting to change the way things are looking in the media anyway.
Yeah, those two things sit side by side, right? You're right. We don't need to go into it too much on here, but we all know the anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric that we're seeing. We're seeing the rise of right-wing agendas and such. But the spaces that you operate in as a professional event queer, I think is your term for it,
professional.
right?
I would say professional event lesbian.
I love it.
Professional event going queer. I think that is what I do, and the reason I do that, Neil, actually, is because one, I get to meet a lot of people. It's fabulous, and I just have to try and remember their names. So I give them names like Glitter Neil. Just tell me to slow down, Lucy. I've got this South Pacific accent that, I mean, you guys, what do you call it? Vowels up here are a little upside down, so I'm not used to them. So
I love your accent, so go for it.
yeah, it's okay. So anyway, what was I saying? Okay, going to events. See, as I'm getting older, I started to get a little bit scared about being older. I think, oh my God, there's so much ageism out there, you just cannot believe it. Every time I go into Sainsbury's, you go in there and see anti-wrinkle creams, this younger serum, this, that, the other, like that. And I'm thinking, why the hell not? Why the hell, what's wrong? If we're lucky, we get older. And I'm starting to realize that people in our community that were fighting for our rights during times when the law was against them, they are now older and maybe having to go into care or the healthcare system, and it's very homophobic in there. And so many of them are going back into the closet when they've lived their whole life open. I think, oh my God, and there's so many of us. There are so many of us. There are thousands and thousands of us, and we need to do something about it. So we've been very open about it, and we've done the Older Queer Voices podcast to try and capture stories, and now we're also started round tables where we're capturing information And the intent is to use that for lobbying purposes to make sure that we are all cared for as we grow older.
Of course, because there's not just ageism out there in society. There's the intersectionality perspective that we need to take into account.
Absolutely.
For queer older people, which is exactly what the podcast talks to. There's also the issue of race within ageism. There's gender, but within our community as well, within the LGBTQ plus community, ageism is actually a problem.
It's very youth-centric, Neil. It's very
It
youth-centric.
is very youth-centric, and I'm early 50s, and even I've had comments about my age, so I think it's an ongoing issue within our community as much as outside.
Absolutely, I agree. It's a very youth-centric culture. It's a very alcohol-central culture.
Yeah.
There's no real places for older queer people to go. I'm going to use the word queer as opposed to LGBT, and I'm going to use that as an umbrella term for all of us doing the podcast because I think it's just easier.
Yeah,
We're
and
here,
it's
we're queer, we're everywhere.
there's an owning it, isn't there, as well? Like, we're taking back that word queer, and I guess that's something that I've heard you use the word queer. Both yourself and Raga talk about owning the word lesbian as well.
Yep.
And it's very much about how you and Raga show up. So I obviously met you through Raga. You are a wonderful couple, and I'm so grateful that I get to be in both of your orbits
Thank you.
and to be part of and see the work that you do. And I love the fact that you own the older lesbian couple label and the way you show up together and do the work you do together. There's something really beautiful about your partnership, and the fact that you're bringing so much representation and visibility to our community.
Thank you. No, see, the thing is, Neil, is that we've actually had a bit of a pushback on the word queer and also on the word lesbian, but we've had years of people throwing those words at us as slur words. And lately, the word lesbian being anti-trans, which is bullshit as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
so I said, I reclaim it. Like, I'm not going to let anybody have any power over me by calling me a name that I feel uncomfortable about. Yes, I'm queer. Yes, I'm a lesbian. And that's what I am. I was born a lesbian. I think the doctor said to my mum, "Oh, you got a lesbian."
I love that. We're gonna come on to little Nicola shortly, because I remember a story we had when I came over for dinner, and a story you told me about being a tomboy when you were growing up, and kind of really out there and just like kind of running wild.
See, that's another term that I'm starting to have problems with, tomboy. It's sort of like, because a girl does this, then she's like a boy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No. So I grew up at a time, and I think that's still there, like pink is for girls, blue is for boys, this is for girls, this is for boys, blah, 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 blah. And I hated it. Like, like I was a little wild, I guess. But I'd ride bikes, I'd climb trees, do whatever I wanted to do, play sports. And I was always dressed in dresses and skirts. And you try playing sports in a skirt and then tripping over and everybody sees your underwear and everybody laughs, and it's just terrible, and trying to, like, it's just not practical. And out there riding bikes, and I used to cry, and I'd try and make my own sort of, like, I'd roll up my jeans or cut off my, no, I didn't even have jeans in those days. I don't know what I did, but my mother had to go to the doctor to see about me. This is when I was about 7. And she came back one day and she had 2 pairs of shorts for me, and I couldn't believe it. And basically, as I understand it, that she went to the doctor and had a worry about me, and the doctor told her to buy me some shorts. She bought me some shorts, and suddenly I was free. So I don't know what she said to the doctor, but obviously I wasn't grown up to be the little girl I was supposed to be. And I think she sort of accepted it, but
Yeah. That's a brilliant story about finding
yeah,
freedom. And that freedom is something that I very much see in you and Raga now, in the way that you live your life, your adventures together over the years as a
yeah.
family, and even the way you kind of navigate London and go to loads of events and you go on your big walks and such. And that sense of adventure I really get from you.
Well, I guess that's just how I am. I mean, uh, I grew up in Aotearoa, or in English, New Zealand, and I think we get exposed to the outdoors there a lot more
Yeah.
than I think people growing up here maybe do. And it's just, for me, it's just normal. And it's just weird how, like, a small piece of clothing, like a pair of shorts that was supposed to be for boys, can be such freedom for a girl that needed to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And a girl that's still out there doing so
Yeah,
much as well.
absolutely.
I love it. You have been through a time lately with your health, as you said, the
Yeah.
stroke 6 years ago. I know that you that you and Raga, you go everywhere together. And I know that your sight has been an issue as well. And I wonder what does self-care and resilience in the face of those challenges look and feel like for you?
So yeah, I've lost 70% of my sight. I was very up when it happened. I'll tell you just quickly. The night it happened, I woke up and I felt a tingling all up my side. And I was thinking, oh shit, this doesn't feel good. And it was on my left side, so I was thinking, oh, maybe it's heart or something. And it's sort of like, I was reasonably fit, so I was sort of like, what's this? Cut a long story short, I was blue lighted into hospital in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. And as they were rolling me into the MRI, the doctor saying, can I ring your boyfriend? Can I ring your husband? And I'm like, oh my God, like, what do I say? What do I say?
No.
Like, I didn't know whether I was going to make it through the night, let alone should I come out at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I ended up saying on my partner's female, and she was going, oh, so sorry, so sorry. But it's like, oh my God. In that moment, I was thinking, shit, is this like, do I come out? Will they treat me well? Like, there was all these things going on in my head. Anyway, after that, it gave me a huge fright. I was in hospital for 8 weeks. And I think what I did after that is I educated myself about my health. I didn't want to die. I was too young. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to live I mean, apart from my sight, I've got other slight issues with my left side, and as you know, with my recognizing people and directions and stuff like that is a little odd. I try and put myself first now. I try. I exercise every day. What I put in my body, I do mindfully. It's like now my health is a focus, and my health is just not what I eat and exercise. It's also about mental health, and it's important for me now. And I think I should have put that. They still don't know why I had the stroke to do with COVID or something. I really don't know. I don't think that we're taught to put our health first.
Mm.
You know, growing up as an adult, and I'm talking about holistic health,
Yeah.
mental health, physical health, what we eat, what we think.
Yeah, I find that for me, physically looking after myself came first, and
Mm,
later in life as well. I wasn't that into
mm.
it, but the what started as a very kind of like a vanity thing with my physical, taking care of myself physically, soon turned into something that I really, really rely on in terms of keep showing up and keep doing what I do. It's so important to me now for the
Exactly.
mental benefits of it.
Yeah, and I've had a sort of taste of what it could be like if I didn't look after myself.
Right.
And so I'm determined to, as I grow older, to have good balance, have good strength, have good fitness, have good, so yeah, I'm here and I'm doing it. And part of that is going out and into our community and having good cognitive health by engaging with people, learning stuff. Every day I learn stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you are everywhere. Like, you're
Yeah,
you're both sharp at everything, and you run your own events, and I guess community, it has become really fundamental to both you and
absolutely.
Raga.
Absolutely. I mean, the community is our extended family. It is
Mm.
our family. Who else have we got? Who else have we got? And I've got so much to learn from our community too. Like, everybody's been through something different and everybody comes from somewhere different. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you and Raga both.
Yeah.
You love a story, and
Oh yeah.
you always have a story as well. I love that I love that about you. You've always got a story to share as well.
Yeah, but I'm also very open to listening to others too.
Yeah,
Like
for
I'm
sure.
learning and sharing. And I didn't actually realize I had a story, to be honest. That's how we are sometimes.
Well, speaking of story, I am super excited to dive into your story. So, Nicola, are you ready to pause and rewind?
Sure, sure.
Here we go. You've already given me a taste, but take me back and tell me more about little Nicola.
Little Nicola. Okay, so I'll tell you where I was born. I was born in Tamaki Makaurau, Aotearoa, but for the point of this podcast, I'll use English, which is Auckland, New Zealand. And where do I go from there? So life was, I mean, I've got two older siblings. I've got a brother and a sister. My father is an Irish immigrant, so he had an accent growing up, which was a little different in our community, but hey. And by the time I was around about 10 or 11, I'll tell you what happened. You have these summer holidays when you're going to school. And before the summer holidays, it was like around when you're sort of like, you've got your girlfriends around you and stuff like this. You got your girl gang and we got boys, yeah, boy jams, all of that sort of stuff. Then there was the summer holidays. I come back and I was still in that state. But then all the girls was chasing boys. And I was like, why would you be chasing boys? Me, I fell in love with my hockey teacher, my hockey coach. Like, fell in love like only an 11-year-old can.
Okay.
And I really thought I was going to marry her. I didn't know how it worked. I had never heard of the word lesbian or gay before. But she was the one for me. And then she got married to a man and got pregnant and left, and I broke my heart. I never divulged. You know, there's something really weird about us gay people. We sort of know, even when we're really young, that we shouldn't say anything. And I don't know where that comes from. It must just come from maybe things we hear. I mean, nobody told me that I shouldn't talk about it, but I just knew.
When did I'm fast forwarding a little bit here, but when did you first start talking about?
I'll tell you the first time I took. So what I did when I was around about 15, 14 maybe, 14 or 15, I'd gone past my hockey teacher and I was falling in love with women all over the place. Pop stars, you know, Hollywood stars, teachers, you name it. Like, uh, not so much my girlfriends of my age, but it was sort of like that. And then the others would, like my peers would be falling in love with male stars and stuff. But so I sort of kept it to myself. I started reading, and I think the library was my friend at that stage, and I read as much as I could. There was hardly anything out there, but what I could find, I read, and it was mostly male gay stories. But I could sort of like transpose myself to it being a lesbian story in my head, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was in the 80s, and the AIDS epidemic hit New Zealand, unfortunately. And then everything was in the papers. I learned pretty quickly what being gay was, and that the men were dying fast. We had the old, which all the Commonwealth had that homosexual, anti-homosexuality bill. I think was the colonialist law that was that there was a lot of protests in those days to repeal that. So I started getting very interested, and there was a lot of I think that first wave or second wave of feminism was happening then. There was women's bookshops and so forth. So I'd go and stand outside and have a look in. And one day a woman said to me, "Do you want to? We've got a little library here. Do you want some books?" So I started reading all these old lesbian novels from the sort of old, what would you call, the first lesbian novels that sort of came out, and I was like, oh my God, this is me. So then what happened, I was about 15 going on 16, and they would have meetings, I'd have young dykes, and so I was meeting all these young women and stuff like that. I'm not telling you, but I was still going to school, remember? But I would, I don't know what you call it over here, but I'd wag school, I'd play truant or whatever it is. I wouldn't go to school some days. I'd rather go to, like, they would have maybe a music night at a cafe or something, and it would be sort of like all underground at that time, like, you know, and so we would all turn up, and I would be so scared to go in, but I would go in anyway. And I was still going to school, like I said, some days. And one day I went to school, and I was 16, I was in the sixth form, and I got a call to the headmistress's office, and I was damn scared. I thought, oh, what the hell? Anyway, I went down there. I remember it so clearly to this day, walking down the corridor, knocking on her door. She opened the door. There was a big desk between her and I. She was sitting at the desk. She said, "Nicola, sit down." And she said, "Nicola, what's going on? You're hardly at school these days." And I said, "I think I might be gay." And she said, "I think you should leave." Just like that. And she got these papers out, and she gave me the papers. She said, "Go take these all to the teachers, get them all signed off, bring them to me, and you're gone by the end of the day." I didn't know what to say, but, you know, inside I felt like, because there was such bad stuff in the media, I felt like it was almost like I deserved it. So I didn't even think this is wrong. I don't think the shame came, of course, but it was sort of like, actually, I don't want to be here. I want to be there. I want to be, I'm just finding my way. And a lot of other things were happening in New Zealand at that time. Like, there was the anti-nuclear lobbies. There's the South Africa who still had their apartheid laws, so we were marching against the apartheid. So I would go to all of these, what we'd call these days, left-wing marches, and I found my people. And I found my people because there were so many gay people, lesbians, everybody. Like, we were all there, and we were all doing it together. You know,
That's quite a young age to find
very young.
yourself in those circles. And I wonder, looking back, you know, and it sounds like that, being able to recall that conversation with the head teacher and those emotions, those feelings about it so clearly. Looking back, what did you make of the world of being in being in these environments that that other people might not have had the maturity to kind of be part of?
Well, I don't know whether it was maturity, Neil. It was like, I mean, I guess straight people go through a sexual awakening. I was also going through my own sexual awakening.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anything different. It was sort of like I'd found what this little girl had needed. And this little girl needed to be around my community like I am now. And I didn't even know that. I couldn't, if you'd asked me back then, I wouldn't have been able to articulate this. I could
Mm.
articulate it now looking back. But I suddenly found a place where I belonged. Where we all belonged. Right? And in those days, people had all these flats. There's an area in Auckland called Ponsonby, which is like, I don't know what the equivalent here would be, but where a lot of gay people live, a lot of lesbians live. There was a lot of lesbian flats. We would go around, we'd hang out. Someone would probably smoke a bit of weed, I don't know, play the guitar, because we had nowhere else to be. So we just used to do that. And then somebody would organise maybe a music night, like I said, at a cafe or something like that. And we'd all go there. And so uh, it was somewhere where I belonged, and I didn't even need to ask to belong. Like nobody invited you. You're just there, and we were part of it, and we were
Yeah.
together.
That's so beautiful. I'm curious as to what was going on in the background, in your home life and with your family at this time. Like, what were the reactions?
Okay, so I was the youngest, quite a long way, but I was the youngest. I'll just give you a little bit of background. Like I said,
Mhm.
my father was actually a Irish immigrant to this country when he was a child at the time when there was no Irish, no dogs, all that stuff. He got sent out to work at 13 because he was the boy of the family. So he got sent out to work. So he didn't know any different. My mother was the last of a family of 12, 10 girls. So there was no money to educate her either. So there was no sort of thing in my family, oh, you need to get yourself to university and need all this sort of stuff.
Right.
What I got told is you can't leave school till you got a job. So I got a job. I didn't even tell my family that this had happened at school. I went out and I got a job as a postie. And I went home and I said, I'm leaving school off. I got a job. And both my parents were working at that stage. I think, yeah, my mum had gone to work. She was a stay-at-home mum until she got older. Then because of her situation, she needed to go to work. And there was no. I think my mother knew, but she didn't know how to articulate it either.
Mm.
And as long as I kept out of trouble, it's just I sort of brought myself up a bit.
Yeah.
Both my siblings had left home by that stage. It's hard to explain, but
Mm.
I was left to my own devices, I think.
Yeah. Did you? I guess. Looking back, are you grateful for that? Because I guess it gave you the space to find your community and be around your people. Do you wish that there would been a bit more, maybe parental guidance and family interest? And then, did you have any, as you got older, did you have any retrospective conversations?
So Neil, my education got stolen off me
Mm.
because I was gay. It
Yeah.
got stolen off me. I started to educate myself later on in life, but at that stage, it got stolen off me. I was a 16-year-old girl doing reasonably well at school. I'd done pretty well educationally. It got cut off because I was gay, because I was a lesbian. My mother got to the stage where she accepted me, she loved me, and all that. Didn't understand,
Mm.
but was there for me. Actually, she tried her best to understand. She started reading all the books. I think she's read more lesbian books than I ever did. My father struggled more. My father was like, what will everybody say about me, as in him?
Mm.
But we had an up and down relationship with my father. But when I see these days that they have LGBT clubs at school and ERGs at workplaces and all this, and I'm thinking, oh my God, if that had been there for me, I think I would have been not a different person, but I would have had different opportunities in life.
Yeah.
So I think taking anybody, cutting them off because of what they are, who they are, really sets people back. It doesn't contribute to their life, let alone the country or anything like that. Like I said, I got my education stolen off me because I'm a lesbian.
Yeah, and there must be, I don't know where your head is at, whether you've reached a point where you've had some healing from that and accepted it. I guess perhaps quite a difficult question to answer, but what would those opportunities have looked like in an ideal world, and what did you done?
I don't know. See, when I had this stroke, they gave me a lot of cognitive tests.
Mm.
And one of the tests really surprised me. They gave me an IQ test and he said I was on the higher percentile. And I thought, what the fuck? And that's when I look back and I think I wasn't given any opportunity to do anything because it was cut off at my knees.
Mm.
So I think I was obviously smart enough to do. I don't know what direction my career would have gone down. I think of, I mean, since then I've thought of lots of things that I could have done, journalism, or I could have done. I'm quite quick with a lot of things, but it's sort of like I don't know where my life would have gone, to be honest.
Right.
But at the same time, when I look back, I was thinking, actually, I had a good time though.
Yeah.
Like Auckland was good to me. The lesbian community in Auckland was really good to me. It was really good for me. I've got very, very fond memories.
Yeah.
But the other side of my life, but I've actually done well at the same time. I look back, well, I think actually I've done damn well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And to be where you are now and to
Mm,
be here and doing what you do, to have found community and understood what community was from a young age is richness in itself, but it
mm.
can still exist alongside that sadness of what might have been.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the path that was meant for me, and I'm fine with that actually.
And quite a path it has been. I'm curious as to what early career looked like. So you left school and became a postie.
I got a
What
postie.
ha-
I didn't wasn't
what
a postie for very long.
what I guess what happened next in terms of career? What did early career look like?
So interestingly, after that, I got a job in a one of New Zealand's largest photographic studios. So I learnt the technical side of photography, I guess, and developing, and which was starting to become the early sort of digital age. So I started learning quite a lot through that. Interestingly, there were so many lesbians in that place as well. Oh my, but I won't go there. And, um, and then after that, what did I do after that? And then I started to travel. First of all, I came here many years ago to England, and then I went back home, and then I started to get into hospitality
Mm,
and events, and I did study further. I didn't go to university, but I did study further, business management, and I ended up as a career as a manager of multi-event sites. When I say
mm,
multi-event sites, in New Zealand, I got a job at the New Zealand Parliament, not in a political role, but like we had everything there from state state visits to cups of coffee for everybody and everything in between. All the all the hospitality sites within there, all the facilities management in there. So I started learning that. I came over here in 2000, I think, when they were just opening the Tate Modern, and I got a job there when they were opening the Tate Modern, and I helped open the hospitality sites at the Tate Modern. So that sort of was my career. And then I started getting into, well, when I met Raga in like 2007, and she was doing really big events with big well-known speakers like Edward de Bono and Deepak Chopra and stuff, and I started working with her doing that.
and that's how you met.
We met in New Zealand, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
amazing. And obviously kind of like you know, you both share so much about your family, you know, your family
Mm.
setup and kind of raising the kids and such. And it's really interesting now hearing you talk about that career because it gives me a whole new appreciation for what you do now in terms of always championing events as a
Mm.
form of community and education.
Yeah.
The tech side of it, I mean, you are so brilliant at tech with the way that
Yeah.
you do everything. Like, so I can see all the different threads of your career coming together.
Yeah. I think I was an early adopter of tech. I can even code a little bit, not that well, but you know what I mean. But I tell everybody, like I'm Generation X. We built the internet, literally. You know what I mean. And so when a lot of people say, oh, like old people, oh, they can't do tech and stuff like that, there's so many of us who can. I'm sorry, but there's so many of us who can. And I think that I think tech's really important. And I think that people need to know about it, need to understand
Yeah.
it. What I like to do with events, I like to say that people learn creatively. Like you don't really teach people by standing in front of them in a classroom and having a blackboard. You learn by involving them. You learn. That's why I like it in our community. We have panel discussions. We'll have performances, and everything is learnt.
Um,
I was involved in a creative aging exercise, which was amazing. And creative aging is about performance, and performance about what we've just been talking about your youth, performance about what we'd like to see. People can understand when they see things like performance,
um,
when they hear discussions, more so than just telling them.
yeah. And you bring that storytelling and experience to life through what you do, through the podcast, through the events you organize and such. And
Creative activism, I call it.
creative activism. I love that. And there's a real, like I said before, you know, there's a real partnership to how you both do it. I wonder if there's been a moment that felt like a failure that turned out to be the making of the Nicola that we know and love now.
A failure. I've had lots of failures. I actually think it was when I had my stroke.
Yeah.
When I look at it, it was a blow to my life. Like, it took away a lot from me, Neil. It took away a
Oh.
hell of a lot, and that I've had to claw back. And now I think I'm a different person. I say, lucky you got two for the price of one. But I think I found my voice after that. I
Mm.
found my voice, and it's sort of like I've actually got nothing to lose anymore. I've
Okay.
been on the verge, and I'm thinking, I don't want to. I've got nothing to lose anymore. Like, I'm not scared anymore. I'm not frightened to say what I think. I'm not frightened to. When I say frightened, I mean, you've seen me in events. I'll go and talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes at my detriment. You know what I mean? I think I'm more open to learning. I'm open to soaking in as much as I can.
Mm.
In the time I've got left, and hopefully that's a long time, I want to soak in as much as I can. So it was a big pivotal turn for me. Like, I woke up with 70% left sight. Still have problems with my left side. And I'm thinking, no, I'm going to grab life with both my hands now. And I think it was like I got dropped on my head and slapped, and you got to get on with it now, Nicola. And
Yeah.
now, since then, we've set up this Older Queer Voices. I'm embracing my aging. I'm embracing life. I'm getting into it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Mm.
There's so much to be said. And I talk about this a lot in terms of my own allyship and advocacy. I think that people think that you get to a certain age and there's this either decline or you want to pull back and you want to relax and such. But actually, what we're seeing so much more is, and particularly in women, is that the adventure is just beginning. And all of a sudden,
Exactly.
innovation, creativity, drive, you know, becomes even more amplified.
Exactly. And if we're talking about ageism, if we're talking about women, there's so many words about, oh, you're just an old lady, or come on, grandma, like that. It's sort of like we've been told all our life that once we get to a certain age, that's the end.
Mm,
Maybe menopause is the end. We then can't make babies anymore, that's the end. Whatever it is, men sort of get into these silver foxes and can sort of do other things, but women are sort of like that's it. You can cook for your grandchildren or whatever it is. But so many women I see now are like, no, fuck it. I'm gonna grab life with both hands. And I think a lot of people have the same thought as that I do. It's sort of like, I'm not scared anymore. I just gotta do it. Like, you can
yeah,
do whatever you like.
for
I'm
sure.
not gonna shut up. I'm not gonna shut up. So we
Yeah.
don't.
The way you and Raga champion inclusion through older queer voices is so, so important when it comes to tackling the experiences of older queer people and older people generally, and just and shining a spotlight on that. Has that mindset around inclusion always been something that you can see in yourself, or do you think that came later?
I think that got molded in Auckland as well. I think, like I said to you, I grew up in the 80s at a time where people were talking about apartheid because of South Africa. People were talking about, well, I told you about the nuclear thing. People were talking about homosexuality because of the AIDS crisis. Suddenly, people, are starting to, and at stage two, there was politics around the Indigenous Maori community, and New Zealand, is now a duolingual country. The Maori, the original language of the Maori, is now in everyday society, and that was just coming of age. So I think that molded my thoughts, and then you sort of think, if I've been treated badly because of this, so why should people be treated differently because of the way they look, what they think, what their sexuality think? It's sort of like people are people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it got molded quite early, and now and even today I'm still learning about intersections I don't understand so well, But all I try and do is have an open mind about it, and I know that growing older is different for people of color. Growing older is different for trans people. Growing older is different for men. You know, it, and growing older is different for disabled people. There's a huge disabled community out there
Oh,
too
yeah.
that until very recently has been nobody even knew about. Because somebody's disabled, because somebody's sitting in a wheelchair or is disabled, it doesn't mean they're not smart.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're not a person, that they don't feel like the rest of us. It's sort of crazy. So as these sort of things happen, I think, well, no, and if I've got a voice, I'm going to speak about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I really feel that from you, that deep, passionate commitment to not let anyone be brushed off simply
Mm.
because of XYZ. And having listened to your story around kind of like your education being stolen from you because you were gay, it feels like that commitment is very much something that is lifelong.
I've got a brown son who's scared to walk down the street when these right-wing marches are out. Like, he's frightened. He's
Yes.
28 years old and he's a big guy. He's scared to walk out on the street. It
Yeah.
should not be like that. because of how he looks.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. And you shine a spotlight so much on life as a queer parent as well. So there's so much that you're putting out there that we really need right now. Thinking about those early communities that you found, thinking about the spaces that you find yourself in now, I'd love to know, is there someone or maybe a couple of people who have shaped you the most along the way?
shaped me the most. I think Raga's been a big.
Of course.
She's been in my life now nearly 20 years, so there's been a lot of learning and growth there. And with her, we went and lived in India for a few years too, which really made me look at things differently. I think my mother, in a lot of ways, because I think looking back in hindsight, she went through a growth as well. She didn't quite get as evolved as I am now, but she was evolving in the same way I was evolving. Just even with having a daughter that she had to buy shorts for, and then had to evolve from there. And I know that she evolved it the same way. My sister and my brother, they're my number one supporters, even though they live in New Zealand. They've 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 shaped a lot of where I am today as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful to have those relationships. My final question for this segment, Nicola, is looking back so far, what are you most proud of to date?
I'm proud that I was given the chance to raise these two children who have grown into the most beautiful, beautiful human beings, and to think that I had some part in shaping their life. But now I've got these, two beautiful adult humans who are the most lovely human beings. I think that's it's sort of like I was given an opportunity. I mean, I never thought I would have. The interesting thing, my father was a twin. His mother was a twin. And I got told I would probably got a high chance of having twins, but I wasn't obviously not going to have them biologically, but suddenly they're there anyway, and so I've got twins. So regardless, I got them anyway.
Are you ready for some quickfire questions?
Sure.
What album, book, or movie has had a lasting impact on you?
I think The Sound of Music. For some reason, I remember The Sound of Music when I was a little kid, and I saw Julie Andrews running up the hills of Austria. I think it was Austria she was in.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it had a big impact on me, but I enjoyed that. And then all these lesbian novels that I read when I was a teenager, I can't any particular one, but there was so many. Rita Mae Brown, I can't remember the names of them all, but I read every lesbian novel there was. That really helped shape me as well.
Yeah. I'm just picturing little Nicola outside that bookshop.
Yeah. And I was so grateful that they had this sort of like, come in, we've got a library, you can read them. So I'd take one book and bring it back and read it and take it back. It's such fun.
Gorgeous memory to unlock. I love that.
Yeah.
What's a saying you live by and one that you'd put in the bin?
A saying I'd live by is, I'm going to say it in Hindi, okay?
Yep.
Jaan hai, to jahan hai. To any Hindi speakers, I hope I said it correctly. But basically it means if you have life, you have the whole world at your feet. So I live by that in regards of I'm making sure that I've got the best life I have because I can have the whole world. And which saying I don't live by, I don't know, there's lots. You go to any right one march and
Straight in the bin.
Absolutely live.
What has been the best adventure of your life so far?
The first time I went to Norway, I've only been to Norway once, but I went to Norway and it was the middle of winter and we went like husky sort of through the snow. And to me, it was like, I never saw snow till I was about 15. So to me, that was like, those snow globes that you get?
Yeah.
You shake them all up. And I felt like a kid again.
That's gorgeous. I've never actually been to Norway and I've heard it's
it was such fun. And we saw the Northern Lights and stuff. And it was just like, man, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like really amazing.
I need to get myself there. What 3 words would you use to describe you and your origin story?
Me, my origin story is just like a little naughty, a little bolshy, and a little shy.
A little naughty, bolshy, and shy.
Yeah.
Love those. And when you think about little Nicola and Nicola today, do all of those still show through?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Absolutely. I mean, you've got to be a little naughty.
Absolutely.
You've got to be quite bolshy, otherwise you don't get anywhere. It's okay to be a little shy, but maybe not so. Maybe it doesn't show through anymore, shyness.
I often say to people, like you, I will go up and talk to anyone, but I do have my shy moments and people struggle to believe that, but it's not always easy to access that confidence.
Yeah, I think as I've grown older, I've gotten more confident, but I would never have done that younger. I was quite shy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was shy, but I didn't have the belief in myself that I could.
And you have that now?
Yeah, I'm not shy now.
Let's fast forward a little bit. What exciting things do you have coming up?
So we did a roundtable at the House of Commons, an Older Queer Voices roundtable, talking, and we got submissions from people about what's the way forward for older queer people. We heard such sad things, Neil, such sad things about how people have been treated in care homes, how they've been treated by the police, how they've been treated by the coroner, how when their partners died and the other families come in and taken everything even after 50 years, like just terrible things. And so we've got another roundtable coming up soon, and we're getting submissions at this stage. And then after that, we want to collate them and start to try and influence change. How are we going to change these things? And that's going to take time, but that will happen. So that's what we've got coming up. Going to aim to do probably 3 of those a year, and we'll move on. At the moment, they're generic, and then we'll move on to things like Section 28 and other specific things. Like the care home system at the moment is horrific for queer people. Whether you're trans, whether you're gay, whether you're lesbian, doesn't matter. It's horrific, and people are scared. People are very, very scared.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's why Tonic, for anyone that doesn't know about Tonic, I mean, it's the first residency for older queer people, right? Which is where you're based.
Yes, it's a what do you call it? It's a pilot scheme. So Tonic set itself up, and then along with the GLA, the Greater London Authority, there was 19 apartments that got set aside to purchase from the LGBT community. And I want to say a little bit about something about it. Yes, it's fabulous. We've brought into this, and there's four top floors of an apartment in London here, and it's what I'll call an intentional community. But it does reflect, because it's a 55 plus. You have to be 55 plus to get in, but it does reflect what was happening in the 70s and 80s. And the reason I say that is that Raga and I are the only lesbians here, the only women here. There's no trans people, and the rest are gay men. And the reason I say that that's reflecting the 70s and 80s, because in the 70s and 80s, there was still no pay parity for women. Forget about trans people. And it was much easier for men, because mostly men were like double income, no kids, or if maybe they'd had a kids with a marriage, but it was sort of a little easier for them in the 70s and 80s. So I think what we're reflecting now is what was happening in the 70s, 80s, and that needs to change. We need to be able to get more women and trans people and people of colour to be able to. The other thing is there's only 2 people of colour. One is Raga and one is somebody else. So we're more, I wouldn't say, it's not that we're not inclusive here, but they have the ability to be able to get into something like this.
Yeah, and reach those communities and
to reach those communities. So that's, and it's work in progress.
Yes.
It's a work in progress, and we're all very confident that things will change around, but it's work in progress.
Yes. Well, it's amazing, and having been to visit is beautiful, and I imagine the community that it brings is wonderful. Speaking of community, Nicola, what brings you joy?
What brings me joy? Lots of things bring me joy these days. I love what brings me joy. I'll go to the Guilty Feminist tonight. I love going to live podcast recordings. That brings me joy. Do you know the Guilty Feminists? And I plugged them. They're fabulous. They do fabulous live podcasts. I love doing stuff like that. That brings me joy. Brings me joy just hanging out with Raga. We'll go maybe somewhere for the day. Maybe we'll go. I like the creative arts. That brings me joy. Going to the gym in the morning and finishing my workout. That brings me joy. I find joy in little everyday things these days.
Yeah, and that's beautiful.
The kids coming round occasionally. I'm hungry. Okay, fine. We'll come here. We'll cook. You know.
Yeah, a phenomenal cook as well. I might have to say, phenomenal cook. When it comes to practical takeaways for anyone wanting to create something inclusive, like Older Queer Voices or an inclusive space, do you have any practical takeaways for them?
You have to be open-minded, I think. And what you decide, I think you have to decide on what you actually want. But getting to what you want may not be the way that you think it will happen, and you have to be open for that. Because especially if you're going to do something in our community is so diverse. It's not even as diverse as I thought it was like last week, let alone now. It gets diverser and diverser, and the layers and layers are there. To include all those layers, you have to be really open. But you need to just get on and do it. Like, just set it up, do it, but try not to have too many preconceived ideas about how it will go, because it's not going to go the way you want it. But I think if you've got an end goal in mind, stick to your end goal, but be prepared to go down different roads on your way.
Yeah. And there's fun in that as well. There's
Fun in there. It's
yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. My final question for you is this. Do you have any words of encouragement or wisdom for anyone out there to help them get to wherever they're going?
Yeah. If you need a pair of shorts, put a pair of shorts on. Seriously. Seriously. You know, you don't have to do everything in a skirt. And I'm just saying that in a figuratively way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have to change, just change. You know, I think it all comes down to literally being open-minded.
Yeah.
And if you have to do something, just do it. And you don't have to, the old way is not always the best way, but sometimes the old way is the best way. You know, you don't have to
Nicola,
rate things. You don't have to rate things. Stop rating things old, new, boy, girl. Like we have to be more fluid in the way I think we think about all sorts of things, not just gender, age as well,
yeah,
ability. No, can I just say one thing, Neil, what I learned the other day? And I was really shocked. So there was a woman in a wheelchair at our round table, and she said that to get on a train in this country, they only allow one wheelchair per train. That's not per boogie or whatever they're called on the trains. That is per train. I'm like, what? And there's apparently a good reason because of health and safety and this, that, and the other. But like when you hear things like that, you think, oh my God, we've still got a long way to go. But anyway,
yeah, yeah. There's still so much work
it's still
to be
so
done.
niche.
And just want to say thank you so much. Firstly, thank you for saying yes to having this conversation with me. I always love our conversations. But thank you for the work that you're doing to tackle so many of these things that need
Mm,
fixing. Like the work that you and Raga do as a beautiful couple and individually is
thank you.
so important. I am so grateful to know and love and be in your orbit. And yeah, just so grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to mention before we go, but they had that EHRC rule in yesterday as well. I mean, that's another thing that all these things just blindside us, but we just got to keep going.
Yeah, and together we need to do it together.
Together's the most important thing. Yeah.